A question was put to me that a philosopher had said that we have no freedom. We are just actually conditioned entirely by our environment. And we repeat the patterns of our character, our personality again and again because of the environment that we live in, that we were brought up in. And in many ways, Sri Maharaj, you would say, well, that's correct. He talks about, doesn't he, Sangha, Satsanga, Kusanga. He says, Kusanga, well, gosh, who do you hang out with? I saw another philosopher who said, show me the company that you keep and I can tell what your future will be. So, in other words, I was born on this year, I was born in that town, I had these parents, these brothers and sisters, I hung out with those people, I went to that school over there, I went to this university, these are the people that I'm currently with now. And we create this pathway, these impressions in our mind called sanskars, and we are, because everybody else is convinced that we are the body and this is the name and these are your parents and siblings and this is your qualification, this is your birth of the male or female, this is the work that you do, and then you eventually pass away. And what happens after death? Who knows? Nobody knows. Some would believe that you just die and that's it. You come from nothing before birth, you live for a few years, and then when you die, you go back to nothing. From nothingness to something, from something to nothing. People have this philosophy. Or they have other ideas after death. Every now and again you see a headline like, for example, I was dead for 6 minutes, and this is what I saw. I had 6 minutes when my heart flatlined, and they must have been working to get the heart pumping again, but in those 6 minutes, this is what I saw happens after death. I was like, oh, really? So you could argue that because of that environment, it stimulates the gunas, and we know about the gunas. You've the sattvic, the pious, the goodness, and rajas, the common, the passionate, and tamas, the dark-natured, and depending on where we have come and who we associate, stimulates the appropriate guna. So you could argue we're bound entirely by that environment and we can't change it. But you are well versed now in what our Sri Maharaji teaches us. And here he says, look, it's just like, and have I not given the example where, somebody's watering the garden and a car pulls into that street and it's full of nasties who get out and cause havoc, get back in their car, drive to the end of the street, turn right and disappear from your life forever. You never hear what happens to them, you just saw what they did. And then a second car comes into the street and they're full of good people and they get out and they help people and just compassionate and lift people up and generous and kind and open. And then eventually they get in their car, drive down to the street, turn right, and you never see them again. And in the next street, well, the first car comes along and all sorts of terrible things happen to it. A person who's now standing in the next street watering their garden sees the car of inhabitants who caused havoc in the previous street, but they don't know about that. They just see what happens to the occupants of the car in their street, and it's not pretty. It's terrible, in fact. They go, oh, what do they do to deserve all that terrible stuff? The second car pulls into that second street, the good people in it, and all kinds of lovely things happen, and the person who's watering the garden compares. Well, the people of that car suffering terribly. The people in this car, people are being so nice to them, and they're having such good fortune. I can't figure this life out at all. It's not fair, it's weird. And then I talk about a slither of time. When we see incidences like this, we don't know what happened before. We don't know what's going to happen ahead. We just see just a slither of infinite time. And in that little tiny slither, we make judgment on what we see. This is not fair. Boy, that's amazing. How ignorant are we? So the two different streets represents two different lifetimes in this example. People behaving badly or kindly in one particular life, as the clock rolls on, they have to undergo the consequences. Now, wouldn't it be awful, if somebody who created havoc, i.e. murder, pillage, you name it, and then forever they have to stay in that circumstance because they keep recommitting. They remain in tamas and they can never get out of it, ever. And good people remain in goodness and they could never get out of it, forever. And you can't get out of Maya. You are just stuck in this birth and death. But it doesn't explain, so much is not explained by that, like all the different life forms that we see from bird, plant, animal life, etc. Why are people born into this family and into this little town in the back of nowhere in the middle of Australia? Kupapiti? Why are they born into this circumstance? And why are these people born with a golden spoon? How do these things happen? Freedom of will. This has to be written very carefully. In fact, Sri Maharaji is emphatic that only the coward shuns shaping their future. You must be proactive. And of course that brings us to, the sanchit karma, the vault of all your thoughts, the prarabdha, the portion that comes in this life, and the kriyaman of how you react to what you're undergoing. In other words, if a person's committed crime after crime after crime, at some point their gunas are going to shift, i.e. they're going to get a lift from their past, but mainly they're going to start thinking this is not good enough. All I'm doing in this activity is suffering. There's got to be a better way. I choose to change. And that we can do. We can change. You hear about people, if they create, like some people might steal, but they will never hurt the occupants of the house. That's not their nature. Some people will steal and then they start creating the sanskar of hurting occupants. It's just, you rise up, you sink down. Punyena punyo kamnaya lapapena papamubhihameva manushyalokam. You, by the way you think, you can rise, you can elevate, and you can sink. You can rise and sink. Chaitaha kalvasya, you know that verse? Chaitaha kalvasya bandhaye muktaye chatmanomatam. Your mind, it can liberate you or it can bind you. So grace comes. And this is the thing. There are personalities like Valmiki, Tulsidas. They were in such a tamasic state. Valmiki, he had committed murders. He became a saint by realizing the error of his way, the grace of the Guru coming in his life, surrendering and following the advice of the Guru, and he became a saint. Maharaji has repeatedly said again and again and again, we have met these divine personalities uncountable times. We have been given the opportunity uncountable times. But instead of taking refuge, in our case of Sri Radha Krishna, we decide to take refuge in our own decision-making criteria, our own desires of the world, overcoming our desire to want to surrender to the Guru. We have freedom of will, and we need to understand that clearly. It is true that until the Guru comes into our life, we are constantly undergoing consequences of the three gunas, of how we've utilized our mind in the past. We can go to the celestial, we can go to the lower regions, all the other life forms, and this human life is the most precious because it can shape the future. Of all the 8.4 million different types of species, we are what is known, the human life, as a Karm Yoni, and all the rest are known as Bhog Yoni. Karm Yoni means we undergo our consequences, just like the Bhog Yoni of what we've done in the past, but we also have the ability to create fresh karma by our freedom of will, by our decision making. We have that power. So the celestial citizens want the human life for that ability to be able to move towards God, because it is possible in this form. None other. None other. I was thinking, because you walk around the back of the ashram here and you see the dogs, I was thinking, I've yet to hear a dog sit down and sing Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe with a pair of cymbals in its paws. Meaning, they cannot do devotion. They have to undergo. Have to. But this human life, it is so precious. So we should take out of our mind once and for all, we are not slaves to our past. When the Guru comes, that's the first thing he does, is he shatters all the norms. He shakes our throne. There is no love in the world. What? The parents you say are your parents? Why have you chosen these two? You've had uncountable parents. They are the parents of your physical body, not the soul. What? Nobody can love you for your sake because everybody is self-centered. If you make them or help them achieve what they want, then there's a friendship. If you keep going against what they want, then there's divorce, there's separation, there's a break in that relationship. No. Yes. You can lose the human life and enter into the animal kingdom or plant life. No way. I'm superior to them and I'll always be superior. Tell me, what did you do to get the human form? Well, I was born to these people. Why were you born to these people? Don't ask why, I just was. What do you think happens after death? Who cares? Yavad privait, sukham privait, rinam kritam kritam privait. Eat, drink and be merry. What's the point of introspecting and feeling I've done wrong things? Forget it. Just get out there, eat, drink and be merry. Enjoy your life while you have it. Who cares about death? Now the Guru comes and shatters these norms, and he has to, in this case, he, our Maharaji, has to shatter them. Otherwise, we'll just keep rolling along. You doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing okay. You ask yourself, and your own self, your mind says, not too bad. And we can never think that without the soul, the body is just a piece of dirt. Inanimate, insentiment, lifeless without the presence of the soul. So the Guru has to shake us up. And some people can't handle that. Oh no. Oh, don't be ridiculous. What do you mean I don't have the right to love my family? What are you talking about? Don't be attached? Huh? And all the knowledge about where you attach, so you draw the energy, so you draw the qualities, and all that you're attached to in this world is triguna. It's mayic. If you attach yourself to the pure, to the saint, to Radha Krishna, God, then you draw that energy and you strengthen your bhavadeha, your spiritual body within you. We have tried everything. I'm going to finish soon because we're getting late. We've tried everything. We have. You might say, no, I haven't climbed Everest yet. Okay. Well, then you go and do that and get back to me. Meaning, we've looked under all the shells on the beach, and every time we looked underneath the shell, we just found sand. Meaning we just found Maya. Just all the different variations of Maya. Enough. Take your mind and listen to what Maharaj says. Allow the gift of his intellect to guide you, and you find out for yourself the richness and the beauty and the love and the depth of what he's trying to lure us towards, to instill in us. And you have to decide. And if one argues and says, my personality won't let me, as Maharaj says, lagata, meaning it's not happening. My devotion's not happening. Well, he shoots that down in flames and says, tell me anything that just happens. Everything requires effort. Everything. Everything requires practice. How you walk, how you get educated, how you strengthen a family's harmony, etc. How you do anything in the world requires practice. And it's the same when it comes to our devotional life. Practice. Radhe, Radhe. Oh, it's so hard. Keep going. Radhe, Radhe. Like this. Practice. And that's willpower. And willpower is a determined decision from your intellect. Hey, I'm trumping you in your crazy old habits. I want you to go this way. This is why. This is the benefit. This is what you've been doing. That's why you should move from there to here. Do it. No excuses. Do it. Good old Nike, eh? Anyway, think about it. Don't sit back. When Maharaj is ready, he'll say, 77,394,689 something or other others. And you go, oh, that's me. Come on. Without doing anything, you get a free pass. Maharaj's tried hard to instill in us, you have to be proactive. You have to grace yourself by doing the devotion. You have freedom of will. Exercise it. Don't think it's all his will. The only thing that's his will is he gives you the power to do these things. He enables your mind to think, your body to work. He creates the environment. He brings the guru, if you're so fortunate, into your life. But he says, now you do your bit. Everything is being done from this side. It's up to you. Surrender, devote, remember.